always happens around Christmas. What happened this year?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Yeah, today, while Christmas is over, at least this traditional Christmas around the December 24, 25, 26, and very often there are disasters around Christmas. That is really, it's terrible, and sometimes it's difficult to understand and to live with it. And there was another surprise flooding at Christmas, and catastrophe is really brutal, and it doesn't spare the holy days. It comes without warning, and splash! The huge wave of water washed away the front door and poured into the apartment. That is what you don't want to have in your apartment, right? And the beautifully decorated Christmas tree was knocked over in a second and washed into the garden, because once the wave is almost running through the room, then everything what is inside will be brought outside. If you are lucky, you find your things back in the garden. If you are unlucky, the things are swimming along the street, and you will never see them again. All the presents you got perhaps during Christmas, all the presents were simply gone, and that really happened. It's not a story what I imagine. It really happened, and I just want to talk about it today. And that was again in the Philippines, and in Mindanao. It's a southern main island of the Philippines. North is northern Luzon, then the Visayas, and in the south is Mindanao, for all those who know that, with Davao City as the capital of Mindanao. And it happened again, and when you see residents who are evacuated or evacuates their animals. I saw one. The pigs are very, very popular in the Philippines, and that was a one and only for a poor farmer, and he tries to save his animal, and because this pig cannot swim and cannot survive, and he tries to save it from heavy rains brought by the cyclone Kabayan in the province in Mindanao, and just a few days before Christmas, and an unexpected cyclone or typhoon struck this Mindanao island in the Philippines, and the tropical storm was named Jalabat. Okay, good. It's sometimes difficult with all these names, so they use international names. But anyway, the disaster is the same, and the people, they don't care about anything related to names, etc. So it unleashed powerful winds and heavy rains that triggered widespread floods throughout the island. And this typhoon caused major damages to houses, turning streets into rivers. And rescuers had to force people to leave badly affected areas, and that is what we see from other locations in the world, that sometimes residents reject. They don't want to be evacuated. They want to stay at home, but of course it is very risky. And as I've said in other episodes here at this podcast, the only choice is you protect your house with flood barriers. You prepare yourself that you can survive for a certain time. In Germany or in the Western countries, at least here in Central Europe, very often these flash floods or the flooding will not withstand for weeks. In areas, yes, but it does not mean that the house is completely flooded for weeks. That means you always survive, you have enough food, you have enough water. And what I always say is, when it comes to evacuation, think about the necessary things like medicaments, important medicaments, perhaps diapers for the babies, but when it comes to the worst, you can live without diapers, but the medicaments you cannot live without, and water, of course. Batteries are good. Batteries for torches. That there is some light, candles and lighters, and what else? The good old transistor radio. I don't know if the older ones amongst you might remember the good old radio that worked with a button, and you had to turn the button, and you had to plug in some batteries or use electricity. But in case of emergent catastrophe and calamity, there is no electricity most probably, and then you are very happy to have such an old radio that connects you with the world, because your smartphone will definitely not work anymore. And after a while you will run out of batteries most probably. But this transistor radio with a battery pack, that is good for 1 month or even longer. So you are connected. So these are some essential parts you should have. And think about some small toys for the young kids that is not too boring for them. Perhaps a book during daytime if you have nothing to do. When it comes to evacuation, and in my example, I mentioned this person the farmer who was trying to save the pig, and you can think about cows as well. You can think about horses. Okay, horses can swim, yes, but how long? And what about the other animals? Perhaps birds in a cage, or chicken, for instance. Chicken cannot fly, and so they will all get they will not survive. That is why I always say, think about 3 parts of evacuation: evacuation of the people, evacuation of the vehicles like motorbikes, trucks, cars, and evacuation of animals, at least on farmlands, and in the big city you don't have that, and you can carry your dog and your cat with you. So this typhoon caused the disruption to transportation, of course, leaving. I was checking it, more than 5,400 people stuck at the North Port passenger terminal at one day. Okay, you can live with that if you stuck at the terminal and you have to wait. There are worse things. And you may be wondering why I'm sharing this story just after Christmas. But let it serve as a reminder that while the rest of the world is getting ready for Christmas or celebrating Christmas, there are places where people are suffering and trying to escape frightening situations caused by relentless heavy rains and floods. And like I always say to my weekly emails, floods are just lurking in the corner, just waiting for a single drop of water. They don't pick a specific time or day. They come without warning, destroying whatever lies in their path and leave without showing sympathy. Take this in mind, please, and every minute counts. So it's wiser to be prepared for floods than to regret being caught off guard. By the way, I have a gift for you. Christmas is over, but it's a late gift, and it's a free ticket to our first 2024 flood protection webinar. It takes place on January 4 already. And the key to achieving a flood-free home. So this new event with Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, and you can get immediate ideas for the protection of your homes against floods and learn how you permanently end your rainy day worries. So just type, if you are interested, type floodprotection-event.com. floodprotection-event.com, and you will be led to the landing page. You can subscribe, there's a small video, and you can grab your exclusive ticket for free. That's my Christmas gift for you after Christmas. And I can only finish with the hope that you will not see such a disaster that I have mentioned, and that what happened just before and around Christmas in Mindanao, in the southern province in the Philippines. Perhaps we meet at this webinar on January 4. So I just repeat again the website floodprotection-event.com, and the webinar is a Zoom webinar. It is live, it is not recorded, so you have the chance to ask all your questions to me, and then I will answer to it, of course, until the last question is answered. Stay safe and flood free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode, I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with a new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the flood experts. What can Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us, or just click through to www.thefloodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering. German quality. Safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.